Have you ever been sick? Well, of course, we all have. Yeah, it's not fun. Imagine that there was no one to care for or to take care of you. Jesus made it clear that that's not how it's supposed to be. Jesus said, care for the sick. Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you will hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest, the Jesus way. Today's Jesus Said comes from Matthew 25, 35 through 36. And several of the Jesus Said come from this section of Scripture. This is Jesus talking about Judgment Day, where sheep are separated from goats in verse 32, the good from the bad. And he says, "For I was hungry, and you fed me," in verse 35. "I was thirsty, and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me into your home. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you cared for me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Now, there are several things there that we talk about in other Jesus Said broadcasts, but today we're going to be focusing on I was sick and you cared for me. Now, long ago in a galaxy far, far away, I was once a little boy. I actually started preaching at the age of 12, and most people would say that my job right now is preaching. And I started that right here in Weatherford at a church that was literally torn down a couple of years ago when they put the new loop in on Center Point Road. And I went by and I got a brick from that church to remember that. And the first sermon that I preached actually was about this topic. Now, Jesus referred to himself as the Good Shepherd, who came to seek and save that which was lost. And a shepherd's job was taking care of the sheep. The question is that our job too? The sermon topic as a 12-year-old that I chose actually came from Mark 2, 14 through 17, where as he walked along, he saw Levi, son of Alphaeus, sitting at his tax collector's booth. "Follow me and be my disciple," Jesus said to him. So Levi, which was another name for Matthew, got up and followed him. Later, Levi invited Jesus and his disciples to his home as dinner guests, along with many tax collectors and other disreputable sinners. And there were many people of this kind among Jesus' followers. Verse 16, "But when the teachers of religious law, who were Pharisees, saw him eating with the tax collectors and other sinners, they asked his disciples, 'Why did he eat, or why does he eat with such scum?' When Jesus heard this, he told them, 'Healthy people don't need a doctor. Sick people do. I have come to call not those who think they are righteous, but those who know they are sinners.'" I, as a kid, turned this into an analogy for my first sermon about how the church was supposed to be a hospital. It's kind of interesting. In our weekday Bible plan today, we see Matthew's version of this story as well. And as we talk about Jesus saying, care for the sick, I want to ask the question today, is the church today a hospital for those who are sick with sin? Jesus used the analogy of those that are well don't need a physician, but that he came for those who are sick. If we're to live like Jesus and do what he did and said, do we? Well, how do we treat the sick? And that's not just physical sickness. We need to take care of those sick as well. But sin is a spiritual sickness. It's a disease that leads to eternal death without the one and only cure, which is the good news of Jesus. But many times it seems like we are fighting against those that are sinners rather than really caring for them. That's not how the Good Shepherd took care of his lost sheep. In Ezekiel, it talks about what a bad shepherd acts like. It says in Ezekiel 34:4, you have not strengthened the weak, healed the sick, bandaged the injured, brought back the strays, or sought the lost, but with force and harshness you have ruled over them. Today's Jesus Said, of course, is also about caring for the physically sick, the elderly, the weak. Do most of our buildings we build do that? You know, during the pandemic over the last couple of years, I've been astounded at the harshness of so-called Christians showing no compassion even to those who are sick. And sin sickness, sometimes the harshness is even worse. The Good Shepherd, Jesus, said that's bad shepherding. That's goat behavior. And the truth is, if you don't take care of the weak, the sick, the hungry, the poor, the prisoner, the outcast, not only are you ignoring Jesus himself, but you are eternally lost. That's how important Jesus said this is. It's not just about physical sickness. How are we caring for the sick in our sin-filled world today? Jesus said, care for the sick. And we always ask this question, how can you put that into action today? But I want to challenge you. What is something tangible that you can do today to care for someone who is either physically or spiritually sick today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it means a lot to me when you like it, share it, and comment, just like Amber did. Good morning, Amber. Good to see you on here today. I really appreciate all of the support. I hope that you have an amazing day. And I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. So remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.